Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, I have a super interesting guest, Bobby Umar. Bobby, you are known for doing multiple TEDx talks, but will not only talk about your TEDx talks, we will also talk about what I love to call your magic power, which is helping other people get on stage and benefit from those TED Talks as much as possible. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Substack and how to leverage Substack to get a TEDx talk, how to leverage your TEDx talk on Substack and all those other things. Before we get started, Bobby, how are you doing? And give us a short elevator pitch about your journey and yourself.
Sure. Excited to be here. Very happy to have this collaboration. A little bit about myself. I'm somebody who is a motivational speaker. I've done 1,000 keynotes and workshops across 4 continents over the last 20 years. And then I've done 5 TEDx talks. I've also turned down 4 other TEDx talks. And now one of the big things I do is I help people land a TEDx talk, and then I help them craft a world class or winning or more of likely viral talk, and then we leverage that talk for your speaking business, for your business authority, brand building, awareness, all that kind of stuff. And
Mm.
so it's a big part of what I do. And I still speak, of course, and I still help people in my membership communities for small business owners. But TEDx is a big part of what I'm doing, and I love doing it because I'm helping people not only transform lives, but get a message out there for the world that impacts their life and business, but also the people who are on the back end who actually hear the message.
Mhm. Um, let's jump right into it. There are millions of events every year. There are millions of stages which we could speak on. Why TEDx? Why is it so cool to speak on a TEDx stage?
Great question. So look, almost all of us are trying to build our brand, to build our awareness, to get out there. And there are many ways to do that. You could write a book. You could have a content strategy. You can pay for ads. You can network and build your Rolodex and build your CRM. But speaking is probably one of the biggest things. Whether you do video on Substack or whether you do on media, you show up on a TV show, or speak on stage or on panels. And so TEDx is taking not only just the speaking piece, but it's also have the brand of TEDx. And so to me, it is the greatest amplifier quickly of what you're trying to build. Because if you're trying to build a book, that's a long, year-long process. Content strategy could also be a year-long process. A TEDx can elevate your life and your brand in less than like 3 months if you do it quickly. My fastest client got a TEDx talk in 2 months. So this is something that it's a way to really elevate your brand and your presence very, very fast. And then what happens is once you have that TEDx brand in your Substack profile, your LinkedIn profile, when you message people, they're more likely to respond. When you're going to call people, they're more likely to listen to you. When you try to close a deal, they're more likely to say yes, and they're more likely to accept your higher fee. So that's why, to me, TEDx is the
Mm.
ultimate thought leadership brand builder.
Yeah. Is it fair to say having a TEDx talk on your resume is like being featured on the New York Times or having a Substack bestseller or being an Amazon bestseller, something like that?
It is because, every single thing that we have out there is an asset,
Mhm.
right? So being a bestseller on New York Times is probably a better asset than an Amazon bestseller. Some people will say, I have 100,000 followers. Okay, that's nice, but is that really that big a deal? New York Times bestseller has way more credibility. TEDx has way more credibility. So having that, yes, you should definitely put that on your profiles and let people know. It's the first thing I say on my LinkedIn profile. It says 5-time TEDx speaker. It gets people's attention because once you have TEDx as the brand, they see you as a storyteller, a speaker, an expert, an authority, and so they're going to want to work with you. Now, if you have 5-time, it's even better because now
Mhm.
it's like definitely somebody. Because just like a 5-time New York Times bestseller, 5-time TEDx speaker, it's excellent to have.
Yeah. If I understand correctly, there's the brand TED and this TEDx. This X basically means independent organized events. So if I understand this correctly, all over the world, there are TEDx events happening. And no matter at which of those events I speak, I get to call myself a TEDx speaker, right?
That's correct. And so, a lot of things. So the TEDx is the local organized one from the TED folks. Now,
Mhm.
a lot of people want to get on the TED stage, which it's a big deal. You have to be very, very famous, or you have to have a really, really compelling idea. So, someone like Simon Sinek or Brené Brown, they first did a TEDx talk, had an amazing talk, and then they were asked to go
Mm.
to TED, right? So now that said, even with the TEDx brand, there's 3,500 TEDx events around the world. You can do a ton of them. The only thing I would say though is that one of the big things I tell my clients is that make sure they have a good video system or bring your own video because when I in the early days, the first 4 TEDx talks happened very quickly within 2 years,
Mhm.
and 2 of those 4 talks, there's no video, and I didn't know that if they did a bad job of the video, I wouldn't be able to get access to the video. So I have no video of 2 of them, and then when I did the 5th one, I was like, "Okay, I wanna make sure I have the video, make sure everything's good." So now I have 3 videos of the 5. So it's important to make sure that they have a good video, but, having the TEDx brand, if that's your objective, then you can do a TEDx talk anywhere in the world.
Mm. Um, Quick deep dive on that. I like TEDx. I watched a lot of TEDx talks in the past. I'm pretty sure I've seen some of the most famous ones from Simon Sinek. I also remember one about the timing of startups. Since we're talking, I'm always thinking of what was the name of this talk because I wanted to refer to it. If I find it, I'll let you know afterwards. But I want to know one quick thing from you. If I want to get on a TEDx stage or anyone else, is this something where you need to go through an application process, or is this something where you basically buy yourself into? I'm asking because normally, if you want to get featured in Forbes magazine, you need to have something to say. Nevertheless, once a month, someone reaches out to me, mostly on LinkedIn, saying, "Hey, I do this article, 10 entrepreneurs, 10 content
Yeah,
creators,
yeah, yeah.
everyone needs to know. You pay me $2,000 and I
Yeah.
include you in that." And this basically me completely ruins that kind of trust symbol of being featured in Forbes for me personally.
Yeah, so TEDx is very, very strict on those types of things. So
Mhm.
if you had to pay to play to be on a TEDx stage, likely they would cancel it. They would not allow the video to be shown, and so that they don't want that at all.
Awesome.
The majority of in most cases, people get on TEDx because of their application. And I'll say this, which is anyone can do a TEDx talk. There are
Mhm.
10-year-olds who've done TED Talks. There are 18-year-olds who've done 4 TEDx Talks. Why? Because it's not based on your success or your status. It's based on the idea, the story, the topic. That's it. And so you apply with that really good idea and then you get selected. Now, you also can get selected the way I was in the beginning, which was and this is kind of where, building a thought leadership brand that I've built on LinkedIn and Twitter and what you've built on Substack can get you noticed. The first 4 TEDx talks that I did, they came to me because I had a strong brand. I was out there speaking and I was sharing a message with the world. And because they liked what I said and how I said it, they said, "Bobby, can you come speak on TEDx?"
Mhm.
I'm like, "Okay." At first, for the first one, I was like, What is that?" And then I looked it up. I was like, "Wow, everybody I know is spoken here. I should definitely say yes to this." And I did it. Now, the 5th TEDx talk that I did, I actually pitched it. So, but the majority of people who do a TEDx talk, you pitch it. You apply and make sure it's very clear what your story is. That's a huge part of the process.
Mhm.
And I think that that's important for people to know. Like it's not you just have to put the work in. Just like becoming a paid speaker, you have to put the work in to apply, pitch, and find the right places and make sure your story and your idea makes sense.
Mhm. And your job basically is to help people who have a business, who are coaches, who are entrepreneurs, to get on a TEDx stage so that they can use their talk to leverage their brand, to charge higher prices, and
Right.
to also help them multiply this amazing one day in their life event so that they can benefit from it for the rest of their career.
Yeah, and let me be clear about one thing too. A lot of people go to the TED site and say, "Oh, you're not allowed to pay for TEDx." So they'll say, "Oh, Bobby,
Mhm.
why do you charge people to coach them?" I'm like, "Look, that's a very different thing. Paying to be on the stage is different than what I'm
Mhm.
doing. I'm helping people, whether you're trying to launch a book
Yeah, sure.
or trying to become paid speak. I'm coaching them in the process, how to apply, how to work on your story, how to brand and target, and then you do the work to apply and get accepted. But ultimately, the reason why people, what I work with them is that look, they want to land the TEDx talk, they want to craft a world class talk, and we want to actually leverage that talk. And most people will leverage their talk for 3 main things. Number 1, I wanna do more speaking, I wanna get paid as a speaker, I wanna be seen on media and publications is one thing. The second one is I'm a business owner, so I wanna get more, expertise and authority around my business and my tech so I can charge higher fees or I can, get more clients and more calls. And the third one is just the general idea of I wanna get more visibility, awareness, and authority around who I am, what I do, my product, my book, my tech, and that's why TEDx is such a great tool to do that. It builds that up significantly. So that's kind of That's why when I work with people, it's not just about landing the TEDx talk, it's what are you going to do with it? And so all my expertise in personal branding and digital presence and authority building also fits with the stuff I have on storytelling and speaking and TEDx.
Yeah. Okay, understand. Just to clarify, so you are not working for TEDx, you have your own company, you
Yep.
are like a coach helping people land on TEDx stages. I assume with a coach like you in your corner, it's easier for people because you went through the application process, not only for yourself, but also for your clients. You might know one or the other organizers, and you're pretty sure, or I'm pretty sure, you are not telling your clients apply for all 3,500 events, but you have like an overview where it makes sense for them to get their slot.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that I'll do. Like a lot of people don't know how to actually answer the questions in the application. This
Mhm,
happens all the time. There's typically 9 to 10 typical questions you'll get. I show them exactly how to answer those questions properly. When it comes to targeting the right TEDx events, I have a list of 6,500 TEDx events from the past 3 years of TEDx events around the
mhm,
world. I also have a list of 1,100 TEDx organizers on LinkedIn. So there's different ways to help you build relationships to target the right ones because you want to target the right ones with the right theme, the right location, the timing,
mhm,
things like that. Most people, I'd say the three things they struggle with the most, aside from the mindset of can I do one? Everyone can do a TEDx talk. One is coming up with the right idea, topic, and story. Most people come up with a very vague topic, like I want to talk about. Let's say you want to do a TEDx talk, and you're like Bobby, I want to talk about the power of Substack, and I'll say, you know
mhm,
what, Philip, that is way too broad, way too vague. It's not going to work. We need to have a very, very specific topic, story, and title. And then finding the TEDx events is hard, and then coming up with the right application is hard. So
mhm,
those three things are the three key elements that I work on
mhm,
to help people. And now, I'm at the point now where I guarantee it. I say, look, if you do everything I say, you'll get a TEDx talk in 6 months. Why? Because everyone that I've worked with in the past like 3, 4 years, and I'll be honest, like there's some people who don't land a TEDx talk. That's because they don't do the work. But everyone who's followed my process and did the work, they will land a TEDx talk. So for me, I'm very happy to guarantee the
mhm.
result.
Awesome. Sounds cool. Let me make this a little bit more actionable so that I can better understand it and also our listeners have an easier time following on this. So, in my case, I help people build their Substacks, grow their audiences, and build a digital business on top of it. We work with a lot of people who are already on Substack, but we also work with lots of people who have 50,000 subscribers on LinkedIn, who have their newsletters with 100,000 subscribers, and who now want to leverage the power of Substack. So all that I do in my business world is related to Substack and building a business on top of it. Now you mentioned if I want to do a TEDx talk, I should obviously not speak about Substack and how to build a business there because this is not relevant to TEDx. Nevertheless, the talk that I would hold needs to be somehow related to what I do for a living because I don't want to make up any topic where I don't have expertise in. So how would I approach this?
So let me counter you on that.
Sure,
Okay.
go ahead.
So a lot of people they want to do a TEDx talk specifically around their expertise,
Mhm,
their book, their model, their business, whatever that might be. But the truth is that here's the truth. Of the 5 TEDx talks I've done, how many had something to do with my business? None of them. And the reason is because a personal story or even a vulnerable story still helps your business. Here's why.
mhm,
When you do a human story, it makes you more relatable, makes you more human, it makes you more trustworthy. Combine that with the brand of TEDx, it can ultimately be leveraged for greater awareness of virality. It can be leveraged better for business and trust. And so it still works. Like when I did my first TEDx talk, I talked about how to create deep, authentic connection with people is what I talked about. The
mhm,
5 C's of connection, as I called it. And after that first TEDx talk, the number of speaking gigs I had that year went up by 40%. I I increased my fee by 2.5 times, and I started traveling around the world. So you don't necessarily have to have one about your business. Now, when I work with clients, I always say we should pitch 3 TEDx talks. One can be around your business and our,
mhm,
our idea, but the other two, let's get them from your story, from your life. What something you learned in your life. Now, it could be a Substack thing. Like I mean, you could have a Substack thing where there's a moment where you realized how to connect better with people with the written form. or
Mhm.
something like that, or something about storytelling. And it kind of relates to Substack, which is totally fine too. So you could do that as well. But I would say that you should definitely consider the personal story because
Mhm.
it can have huge impact. And so I want to make sure I diffuse that
Yeah,
myth.
sure.
It's not about your professional thing. Now going back to the professional thing, if you want to do about your professional, one of the big things is they don't want you to promote your business, right? So you have to again find a story that relates to your expertise, something you learned, share
Mhm.
that knowledge that, and it's going to be often a very small snippet or small nugget, and then you share that with the world. And then in doing so, they're like, okay, this is an expert in, let's say you become an expert in writing or an expert in storytelling or an expert in,
Mhm.
followership or something like that. Then, or technology, AI and tech is a huge, it's a trending topic on in TED right now. So
Mhm.
the three main topics in TEDx that are resonating right now that are trending is AI and tech, climate sustainability, and then personal resilience. So if
Okay.
you have a personal resilience story where, you had to struggle through something to get to where you are with, Substack and your new business, then yeah, I think you could probably talk about that and slightly mention the business, but you can actually promote your business on the stage.
Mhm. Sounds awesome. So just for me to clarify this, personal stories are always like the core of a talk. So, for example, in my case, I mean, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the story here at White Belt Skill, but my co-founder Sinem is my wife now. So
Okay.
basically, when she was 19 and I was 25, we basically did what everyone told you not to do. Fall in love quickly, quick university, instantly build a business together and build a business with the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And everyone told us, you're going to regret this.
Right.
We're now 10 years in. We haven't regretted it yet. Actually, we're really enjoying it. It allowed us to build the kind of life based on our core value, which is freedom. And we're super happy about that. So talking about something like that would be more applicable to a TED Talks than.
Totally. Like the story of, that, like, because to me, like a TEDx talk title, uh, running a business with your
Mhm.
wife, good idea or horrible idea? Like, that's a title of a TEDx talk,
Yeah.
and then you could talk about it. So you're talking about your wife, which is a great personal story. You're talking a bit about the business, which you can slightly do. Yeah, that's a great
Mm.
angle, right?
Just to clarify and to just keep the idea spinning, are people allowed to hold TED Talks with the two of them? Are there TED Talks where two
There
people share the
are
stage?
there are. It's rare. I mean, it'd have to be a very, like, for example, there are TEDx talks of twins, like
Okay,
talking about,
got it.
what it's like, and or it could be like an old person and a young person that have that very powerful story. So
Mm,
if the story's there, you can do it, but typically it's one
mm.
person. But
Okay,
what you can do
got
is you and your wife can both pitch separately, and maybe they like her better, and then she can tell the story.
it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will like her, but I would also choose her. Awesome, okay. Yeah, that's cool, okay, I totally understand that.
I see a bunch of
Pro
questions in the chat, by the way. People are asking questions. Did you see that?
No, we haven't received any questions yet, but that's a nice call to action. If anyone's here and has a question, just drop. Oh, here they are. Damn it. Wait, 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 wait. Usually it auto scrolls for me. Haven't seen them. Let's start at the top. What do we have? Lynn is saying, love the Thought Leadership Branding Club. That's your club, Bobby, I assume. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so TLB Club, Thought Leaders Brand Club, basically. So for people who do my TEDx high level program, that's a high level coaching program. For the people who can't afford that, I have a membership community where people can join and basically get access to me once a week for coaching calls. We do tech clinics, LinkedIn clinics. We talk about AI software. I basically coach them to make them accountable. But my primary goal is to help small business owners just get better at sales, get better at monetizing
Mhm.
their content strategy because most people don't do it properly. And my goal is to increase their monetization by 20% or more within 6 to 12 months. So that's a TLB club. You can learn more about it, but I
Mm.
do that regularly.
Yeah. You mentioned LinkedIn. This is a good reminder for me. If someone wants to do a TEDx talk, what kind of branding materials? What kind of presence do they need to have? Do we need a website? Do we need to have a LinkedIn presence? Is it enough to be a Substack bestseller? What is necessary?
So everything you have around Substack bestseller, me being a LinkedIn top voice, having a book on New York Times bestseller list, these are all what we call assets,
Hmm.
which is great. The more you have, the better it is. So when I got the 4 TEDx talks in the early days in 2 years, it was because I was well known, people knew me, and people started having me come in there. But at the end of the day, what you really need is just the 3 things I said. You need to have a really good story, topic, and idea. You need to have a really good application, and you have to be able to pitch it properly. And that's it. That's all you need. Now, yes, having a strong LinkedIn presence, having a strong Substack presence, having a strong whatever presence, those are all assets because, when you apply to a TEDx talk, they're going to look you up. And what are they going to see? Do they see nothing? If they see, like for you, Philip, if they see, oh, Philip's got all these followers on Substack. Oh, he's got a video. We've now heard him talk. Those are all, that's something they're going to want to see. So I think
Hmm.
that's actually good for you to have those things. So I encourage people to always build their presence, build their brand always, because you never know how it's going to help you, whether you're a small business owner or trying to get a TEDx talk. Yeah, it all helps. So you should be working on those things.
Yeah, I like that. So in the application process, it's not necessary needed to already send like a presentation of the talk. It's totally fine to give the talk for the first time on the TEDx stage, as long as they know you're able to speak properly and you have the credibility to talk about the right
Yeah,
things.
I mean, yeah, typically they might ask you for a structure of your talk. They don't
Mhm.
really want to have your entire talk, but your structure has to convince them this is a really good talk. And then typically, they're going to want to. You don't have to have it ready. In fact, what I tell people is like, and that's something that a lot of people do wrong. They prepare a full talk and say, "Hey, Bobby, here's my full talk." Excuse me, but has that talk been validated? Is it a good idea? Like, why spend time creating a talk if you don't even know if it's a good talk or not? So what I say is, let's validate the ideas and land the TEDx talk first, and then once that happens, yeah, we can design a really amazing talk.
Mhm.
People too often will start with the talk first, but it's like you have to validate it. You have to get people to make sure they like it. And that's a big part of the process. I like you may have an idea, but does your audience like it? What do they think about it?
Yeah, but that's the cool thing about being a content creator because I basically, if I would ever need to draft a talk like this, I would already have a good understanding of what the people like and don't like because I'm doing 3 to 4 live streams a week. I'm posting so many notes in constant back and forth with our coaching clients.
Hmm.
So, as content creators, we already get a little bit of a feeling of what needs to go into a talk. So, none of us here on Substack probably starts from zero.
Sure, but let me mention 2 things. One is, um, if you're a speaker or you're a
Hmm.
content creator, that's great. Like I know I love to talk about storytelling, personal
Hmm.
branding. I love to talk about that kind of stuff. But when it comes to TEDx, it's a little bit different,
Okay.
right? So knowing the audience of TEDx versus your own audience, we have, the number one rule of speaking is know your audience, right?
Hmm.
So it's different with TEDx. So you have to adjust it slightly. That's the first thing. The second thing I'll say though is that a big strategy, and this is kind of goes to the Substack piece as well, which is if you want to land a TEDx talk and leverage your Substack stuff, you should start talking about the things that you want. Like, there's 2 things you want to talk about. You want to talk about TEDx or storytelling or why it's a cool thing for you to do. Like, put that on the universe. And number 2, talk about the expertise or stories you want to tell that might be relevant for TEDx. If you do that and add that into what your content is, it might get noticed, it might get seen, and pretty soon someone might be reaching out to you, or at least when you reach out to them and apply, they'll see one of your stories already out there and like, wow, that's really good. I liked what he said. I like how he said it. Let's bring him in for an interview or let's put him on stage.
Ah, sounds awesome. Okay. I haven't thought of that part. So it's always cool to talk to an expert who's doing this for a living. I think that's like a general learning that I have with talking to other creators. It feels like 90% of the business we can understand from the outside, but like the last 10% is always where it's getting so super, super interesting. Those things that you just don't see from the outside.
Yeah, and I see. I'm looking at another question here, but can
Mhm.
I read this one? It says
Yeah, sure.
from
Good.
Project Umar. It says, beyond the optics of thought leadership, how does a TEDx credential materially translate into RI for a business model in measurable terms like acquisition, pricing power, conversion velocity, or market trust? In other words, what's okay? So Sajid Kumar, look, like All I can tell you is my own personal experience. When I landed my first TEDx talk, what happened was people, because I had the brand of TEDx, I was able to increase my speaking fee by 2.5 times. That's measurable. The number of speaking gigs I got that year increased by 40% from the previous year. That's measurable. And then people started asking me to coach and consult, which is something I wasn't doing. So I remember back in the day, I said, I'll charge $125 per hour is what I said. Eventually, I got so many requests, I jumped it to $250 an hour and people still were hiring me.
Mhm.
So yes, you will be able to use it because people more likely will take your call. People more likely will respond to your message. People will more likely accept your higher fee. And so, yeah, there's definitely measurable conversions and pricing and everything that comes with the TEDx Talk branding. And that, again, that branding it's part of it's how you use it. Like there are people who've launched books, there are people who've built 500,000 followers on social media, people who have done a TEDx Talk but done nothing with it. It's how you do it. You have to learn how to do that properly, and that's something that I would coach people on.
Okay. So I think that's like the most important part. Oftentimes creators have amazing achievements and then do nothing with it.
Yeah.
It's like if you get this YouTube plug for having a million subscribers, 100,000 subscribers. If you get the plug, you post one picture of it. It's nice. You will not really benefit from it. By constantly letting people know that you have this badge, that you have this achievement, it will help you to benefit more often from it. As specifically, if I did a TED Talk or anyone else, what are some things that we can do with the TED Talk that are a little bit more creative than just creating a posting saying, hey, I was speaking at TED, watch my talk. What other things can we do with that?
Well, I mean, so one of the big things is you have to take people on the journey with you from A
Hmm.
to Z. So the moment you are looking for a TEDx talk and applying, you should be putting things out there. So, for example, let's say you and I work together, Philip, and
Hmm.
we have 3 talk titles for your story of you and your wife. We come up with 3 titles. We should put a poll out there. Hey, guys, which one do you like better and why?
Hmm.
Or tell a story or tell a snippet or a separate story and see which ones stick because that's going to inform what we're doing. But what you're doing is you're taking people along the journey. A very common thing that a lot of authors do when they launch a book is they say, "Hey, here is 3 covers of my book. Which one do you like best?"
Hmm.
What you're doing is you're engaging your audience along that journey. So I think that, when you're looking for a TEDx talk, when you land that TEDx talk, when you do the TEDx talk, and even when the video comes out, you should take people on that entire journey all the way.
Hmm.
When you do that, when the TEDx talk actually finally comes out in the video, you're going to get way more awareness building and people watching the video and spreading the word. I think that goes a long way. The other thing I think is really important is similar to book launches, snippets. Sharing snippets. Here's a slide I'm working on for my TEDx talk coming up in 2 months. Here's a 30 seconds from my TEDx talk recently. What do you think about this? Watch the full video here. All that kind of stuff, snippets,
Hmm.
goes a long way. So if you can do that, I think that's going to help you too.
Who owns the rights of a TEDx talk? Is it legally allowed to share snippets of it?
Well, sure. I mean, here's the thing. Yeah. I mean, look, TEDx will own the video
Hmm.
that's there. But couple things. One is, if they have the video, like you can take snippets of it. Like that's not a big deal. I mean, I use AI tools to get me 30-second snippets of it, which is
Hmm.
great. But also, I think that if you have your own video, like like if you're going to do a TEDx talk, bring your best friend who will take a video of you on stage, and so you have
Hmm.
your own copy of the video. Because like if I look back to my mistake before, where 2 of my TEDx talks I never got the video, I should have brought someone with a camera to record it because although and I don't have those anymore. So it would have
Hmm.
been nice to have those. So yeah, I think that you can leverage it as much as you want.
Hmm. How many people are usually at a TEDx talk? I know there's one hosted here in Vienna every, I think, couple of years, and I've been there once. And if I remember correctly, it was like a lot of people. I think there've been
Mm.
like 500 to 800 people, something like that.
Yeah.
But that's not like the average size of a TEDx talk, right?
Yeah, so it's different. So when you start as a TEDx licensee and you want to organize a TEDx talk, initially the audience has to be, I believe, no more than 100 people. So
Oh.
their initial ones, and then once you do a good job and you keep doing it, they'll give you a license to expand. I think the next expansion is 300. And then
Okay.
after that, the expansion becomes a large one. So the one that you see in Vienna, that's probably they've been doing it for a while. They've
Mm.
gotten the permission to expand it. There's one here in Toronto, Canada, where I'm from, where there's like 1,000 people.
Wow.
there because they've been doing it for years, and so it's a big one.
Yeah.
So
But y
yeah,
but
go ahead.
you get to call yourself a TEDx speaker no matter if you're speaking at an event with 50
Right.
people or with 5,000.
Exactly. So what you really want is you want the TEDx talk, and I think you want the video. So
Mhm,
even if it's a small venue and you have the video of you speaking, that's great. Because they'll see the video of you with the TEDx logo behind you. That's all you
mhm.
need. That's all you need to position yourself and to market yourself as an authority and thought leader.
Awesome. To maybe sum up everything that you just shared, but maybe someone joined in a little bit later. What's like the difference between getting more trust with your audience through a TEDx talk or by publishing a book and trying to sell 1,000 copies of it through Amazon? So let's compare an Amazon bestseller to a
Sure.
TEDx talk one more time. I think that's
Yeah.
probably one of
So
the nice takeaways.
so uh, there are I always say there are several ways to build your brand, your authority, your presence,
Mhm,
and to build your thought leadership and elevate your business and whatever. One is networking, right? You meet people, you talk to them, you add them on your phone, and you network and build connections. But that's a long term process. You're basically looking at several years of building it, leveraging the network, and maybe it leads to clients. That's one thing. The second thing is content strategy. So Substack, LinkedIn, Instagram, videos. You're putting content out there. Again, that's a 6 to 18 month process that you're trying to build some authority, build some followers, but it takes time to get there. You could write a book. Now, writing a book is hard because you have to, write the book over. And I know, maybe the book takes 6 to 12 months. Maybe it takes like hundreds of hours, right, to write the book. Then you have to launch the book. Then you have to get people to vote on it and make it number one. Then you got to get people to buy the book. But most people launch books not even for money; they make it for the brand, right? So,
mhm,
how do you get it to be a New York bestseller? I mean, Amazon is something that people will finagle, but New York Times, you can't really finagle. So you have to get people to buy the copies, right? So it's a longer term, 2 year thing that you're trying to do. Now, if you have a crap ton of money, you can just buy paid ads. Hey, Philip is the best guy at this, and Bobby's the best guy at this, and I spent $1 million and convince people to buy. That's fine, but not all of us have that
no.
kind of money. And so the other one is speaking, right? So you speak on panels, you speak in media, and speaking is by far the best thing for authority building compared to everything else. They see you now, assuming you're good. If
Mhm.
you're going like, "Hi, I want to," like if you're not good, that's bad. But if you talk very well with confidence and give great nuggets, people are like, "Wow, this person's great. I want to go meet that person," and so they
Mhm,
like that. Now TEDx is even better because it amplifies your brand and it does it in a lower amount of time. What I tell people is that, look, um, TEDx is the best way to amplify your brand quickly because it takes the least amount of time, 50 hours of time it takes to land a TEDx talk, the shortest timeline, 3 to 6 months to amplify your brand 10x or 100x. So that's why I say TEDx is the thing you should actually invest in.
mhm. Sounds awesome. I mean, I absolutely love how passionate you are about it, not only because you've done it yourself a couple of times, but also because you helped lots and lots of people also land their TEDx talks. So thank you so much for all of that. I just see a comment. Have you seen that from Jihan saying she basically gave her first TED talk 2 weeks ago? Is she someone that you worked with?
Oh, I know her. I know she took my 5 day TEDx challenge, but I also know that she did a lot of work on her own, which is great. I mean, I think that look, a lot of like here's the thing, a lot of my content out there, that in my newsletters and whatever, I talk about these things, my live streams, and only 10% of people can do the work by themselves. So good on her for doing that. For me personally, a lot of people need the help. They need the hand holding, the accessibility. So I coach them through the process. And yeah, a lot of people have done that. So, for the most part, it's been fun for me to help people in different ways. Now I primarily focus on my main TEDx Mastery program, which
Mm,
is a 12-month program with a 6-month guarantee to land the TEDx talk. Other people in my TLB club, we're part of the membership community. They come there and we have weekly calls. I say, hey, how's it work? I work with them to move them forward on their speaking or their business or their TEDx. I'll do either one. It just depends what they want to do. But
yeah.
everybody's different. But I think it's really important to understand that. Look, um, TEDx is something it's something that has huge benefit if you're willing to do the work and you're willing to
Mm,
leverage it. If you do that, great. Same with a book. Don't write a book if you're not going to leverage it. Don't do a TEDx talk if you're not going to leverage it.
yeah. Love that. One thing that's so cool about those live streams is that two different audiences clash. So today, the people in my audience got to know you. The people in your audience hopefully also got to know me a little bit on a personal level today. And what I really love about these live streams is when people come up with clear, what I love to call buyer questions. So when I take a look at the chat, I see Alex saying, "How much does your TEDx program cost?" Le- Can you share some numbers on that?
That's a great question. I would say that, when it comes to high ticket programs, you have to customize it, and most people will not share their cost except until you get a call. So I'm not going to do that either. I would say that the cost of my programs have adjusted and changed over the years. Sometimes they go up, sometimes they go down, sometimes they adjust. But the truth is, if you really want a TEDx talk and you want to talk and you want to invest, yeah, I'm happy to talk. Some people, don't want to invest the time and energy, but yeah, it's going to cost money, but and then I also have different services. Like I have a done for you service, which is way more expensive. And then I have the one that's in my standard program. And then I evolved the program from the one I did a couple years ago, and I've added a few things. So the truth is, if you don't see the value of what you're going to get, then you're not going to want to do the work. I think that for a lot of people, once they cross that line, I want to do this, and they invest in the program. And just like I've invested in programs. I'll tell you one
Same
thing
here.
though. I'll tell you one thing. I've invested in programs that absolutely were crap. They're like, okay, Bobby, here's 60 modules. Go do this, and you'll get your results. And I just absolutely hated that. Didn't do it. Then I did a second program, and this one was just so complicated tech wise. I was like, oh God, I don't know how to do this, and I was overwhelmed. The third time I invested program, one of the things that the guy did was he said, "I'll make myself accessible." I'm like, "That's great." And a lot of hand holding, a lot of accessibilities, and that was fantastic. I really appreciated that he did that. And so now for me, when I do my TEDx stuff, I'm like, look, you're working on your brand, you're working on your business, you're working on your speaking, you're working on your TEDx talk. I will make myself accessible. I will do hand holding. Just the other day, we have like several calls per week where we go through with the clients in the program, and one person said, I can't. I'm busy today. I said, you know what? I'll stay longer and get on the call with you. Or the call we ran out of time, so then I said, let's do another call tomorrow. Like I'm happy to workshop with people to get it done,
Yeah.
because in my programs there's the people who show up and they pay the investment, and there's people who pay the investment and don't show up at all. I was like, what are you doing? Where are you
Yeah.
going? It's crazy. So for me, like I'm happy to work with people, but you have to be willing to do it.
Yeah, I'm similar to that. Whenever we work with some one-on-one clients, we actually want them not only to join the program, but to participate in the program, that we can do all the calls with them, because that's the only way how we can help them achieve results. And only by getting people results, we have an opportunity of winning referral clients, having case studies, having testimonials. So I assume it's quite similar for your business.
Yeah.
That being said, Bobby, thank you so much for taking time today. I really love your expertise. For me, it's completely clear you're the real deal. I'm going to have a chat with you, and I hope it's fine to say everyone else who's really seriously interested in doing a TED Talk, or at least exploring the option, click on the top left of your screen. Make sure to say hi to Bobby, and yeah, would
But
love to
Philip,
hear
Philip,
more from you. Yeah.
before we go, I want to ask you a couple questions too,
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's totally
if
fine.
if I
I th
may.
yeah, I thought we've only blocked 45 minutes, but you can jump ahead. I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
all the
So, I
time in
mean,
the
look,
world.
you're a Substack guy. So, one of my things with TEDx talks is you should talk about TEDx.
Mhm.
TEDx. So let's say your primary topic is, topic X, but you want to do a TEDx talk. I always tell people you should talk about it in your content. So as a Substack expert, I mean, I think that people, this is my opinion, but I think people should talk about the stories and expertise, but also talk about the TEDx journey and why it's such a cool thing. How would you address that as a Substack expert?
I mean, for me, it's clear that you need to post about 80% of your content on your niche, but the
Right.
20% need to be some behind the scenes, some things that make you basically be a human. So, for example, I talk a lot about the ups and downs of being an ultra runner. I talk a lot about collecting sports memorabilia because athletes just inspire me. I also talk a lot about running a business with my wife. Um, if I would be doing a TEDx talk, I would probably post right from the beginning. I would start with a quote saying, who wants to see me on a TEDx stage? Would you
Right.
watch me? Something like that.
Good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I would start with that. Then, as you mentioned, I would let the people know that I'm on the journey of doing this. I personally don't have a problem with failure. So for me, it's totally fine if I commit to this. For example, if the two of us would be working together, I would start saying something like, "Here's my goal to do a TED Talk by the end of the year,"
Right.
and then I would let the people know that I'm on this journey. If I fail, if my business changes, if anything unforeseen happens, if no one takes me on stage, I would also be talking about this. So,
Mhm.
for example, my co-founder Jari was training for the Ironman here in Austria 2 years ago, and I think 11 months ago already, 11 months before the race, he already had it in his profile saying training for the Ironman, basically giving himself like a huge chance of saying that he gets injured, that he will fail with it, and so on. But
Right.
I'm a big fan of making public commitments
Yes,
because those
accountability.
kind of force you to stay accountable.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. What about, like, I mean, you probably could use notes on Substack to
Mhm.
talk more about that stuff versus the articles you post. Is that fair?
Yeah, really depends on the strategy that you want to play. I mean, and it's also important how much value this has for you and your business. So, for example, if you are at the beginning stage of your business, then it's totally fine to talk more about it. If you're already known for one specific thing and you're already seen as an expert and you may be a bestseller and you have a best-selling book whatsoever, I would not talk that much about the journey of getting on stage there.
Mhm.
I would maybe add it to a newsletter or sprinkle it in on live streams whenever it comes up naturally.
Okay. Okay. And, this is my own Substack question, which is,
Yeah, go ahead.
the LinkedIn, because I'm a LinkedIn guy, right? That's my main thing. I mean, what is your advice for getting people to convert from LinkedIn and move them to Substack and become your subscribers?
Great question. Um, my first advice is absolutely do it. If you're on LinkedIn, you are basically at the mercy of LinkedIn and of the LinkedIn algorithm. If you're on Substack, you have control over your audience. That's probably
Right.
the first thing. Um, Second thing is LinkedIn works a little bit different to Substack, especially for how you format things, about how you speech. The first thing that I would do when I come to Substack is I would make sure to understand the rules of the platform. I would spend a lot of time reading how other people are posting,
Mhm.
paying close attention to what's working on notes and what isn't. Next thing I would do instantly is I would do live streams. Substack was a writing platform. Nowadays, it's so much more than that. I can read hundreds of articles from someone. I still don't have a really good feeling who that person is compared to when I watch them like us today for 42 minutes on a live stream.
Right.
That's super important. Also, and this should not sound like shameless self promotion, but if you already have an existing business, you need to use all the shortcuts that you can get for Substack. You can get them from me and my team, but there are also lots of other amazing people out there. The cool thing about shortcuts is if you're an expert in one field, invest as much time as possible on your expertise. Don't invest too much time figuring out how Substack works, how to set up recommendations, how to grow your
Mm.
audience. This is what me and my team are doing for a living. What we need to do because we have hundreds of clients that we have in our group programs and that we work one on one with. So for us, it's okay to spend 40 hours a week learning about Substack. If you're an expert, take the shortcut, save yourself a lot of time.
Great. And that's why you gotta hire this guy for that. That's good. I like that. Another question I have, and this is, I'm gonna share something that I struggle with. I mean, I'm investing in Substack. I'm doing it. It's great.
Mhm,
I liking it. I guess for me, the hardest thing for me is I'm having a hard time getting people from my subscriber list to just level up to my paid subscriber,
mhm,
which is, it's not that expensive. It's like $7 a month, but I can't seem to get people to move to it. So I'm curious about what strategies or what can I
mhm,
do better here to try to make that work for myself.
yeah. What do I get when I upgrade from free to paid?
Well, there's more deeper content. So we'll have an article and we'll have richer content. We'll have longer videos, and then I give them access to me with I give them a couple of
Mhm,
bonuses, like one of my trainings, one of my workshops, and I also give them access to me once a month for a coaching call.
mhm. The first thing that you responded with was you get more and you get deeper.
Yeah.
let's to be completely honest, I don't want that. I don't
Okay.
want to get more emails. I don't want to get longer videos. I don't want to get better created videos. I want transformation. So when I upgrade, I want
Right.
to know am I really getting. So
Okay.
I don't know if you can do this in your field, but like if I'm the paid tier, I learn the benefits of being a TEDx speaker. Then in the premium tier, I want to become a paid speaker, or I want to have
Right.
an accelerator there. With us at Right Build Scale, it's quite simple. If you're a free subscriber, you learn and you get the ideas and inspiration what to do on Substack. If you're a paid subscriber, we accelerate your growth and your income on Substack.
Right. But I mean, so then wouldn't that but then I guess maybe I would have to have a higher level paid tier as for that transformation, would I not?
Not necessary. For us, it's like the paid tier is a hand raiser. So we have 1,500 people who say, hey, we are interested in growth from Substack. We are your paid subscribers. And those are the people that then very likely get to know us a little bit better.
Right.
And we then invite them to join our other more advanced programs. So
Okay.
basically, like the paid tier should be some kind of a teaser of how it is to really work one on one with you, but by
Mhm.
still providing a lot of value. The way we are doing it is our paid tier is a couple of bucks a month, and we try to provide them hundreds of dollars in value on the paid tier so that the people really think, hey, if I can get all of this for $10 a month, oh my God, what can I get if I invest thousands of
Right.
dollars in those guys?
Okay. That's fantastic. I'm always trying to figure that stuff out, and that's why
Mhm.
I asked the question.
I'm happy to take a look at your paid tier, and whenever we talk about a TEDx talk, we can also talk about your Substack.
Yeah, we might have to collab some way, twofold with the Substack and the TEDx thing. You never know.
Uh, those people that know me know that I love collaborating. I'm a big fan of win-win situations. So you probably cannot show me any person in the same niche or doing something similar to me where I wouldn't say, yeah, let's try to collaborate. That's why I love to reach out to people. That's why I love to did this live stream with you. You seem like a great guy. You seem like someone who really knows what you're talking about. So I'm looking forward to following up on this conversation.
Yeah, and thanks so much, Philip, for he reached out to me, and it's great, great conversation. I love your expertise, and I think people are listening to listening to the show. Like, guys, thanks for your question, thanks for your enthusiasm. That's great. We love that. I want to do more in DMs and notes with you guys, and I'm definitely becoming more active on Substack as I am on LinkedIn. And yeah, make sure you follow Philip and follow me too, and see what we're doing.
Awesome. Let me give you one idea that you could do instantly since your publication is all about speaking. I personally think hearing you speak will resonate very good with your audience. One thing that we are doing nowadays, if someone becomes a paid subscriber, we have set up Bonjoro. Do you know that?
No, what's that?
Bonjoro is like an app where you get a notification on your phone when someone becomes a paid subscriber, and then we record a personal welcome video and we send this to the person. And that's like
Okay.
super cool. Since you are a professional speaker, this would be an amazing fit for you. You could use this, send this to everyone who becomes a paid subscriber. I'm happy to share details of our workflows, how we are doing this. We are just experimenting with it, but I really love that. It's a super cool first impression that you can provide someone with. And
And sorry, what is it called? Can you spell it out for people
yeah,
who
I
are
can share
listening?
the link if that's fine for you.
Yeah, go for it, because I think people
Let
might
me
be
copy
listening in.
paste that.
Little people are listening in. It's great. Thanks so much for everybody's listening in. I appreciate the all the enthusiasm and stuff. And if we didn't
Here we go.
answer all your questions, just if we didn't answer all your questions, just bug us again, ping us, let us know. We can try to answer some questions for you.
Exactly. So that's Bonjoro. You can basically hook this up with your email marketing tool or whatsoever, and it's a really cool tool.
Cool.
It's exactly what we've been missing because it's an um yeah, we're not related with them, but it's an how do you say um first touch point solution,
Yes,
which
got
is
it.
sometimes a little bit tricky on Substack. So I'm happy to have
Yeah,
that.
awesome.
Okay, I don't see any question. I don't think we missed anything. If we missed anything, our DMs are always open. I can tell you, Bobby responds super quickly to a message when you reach out to him. I did it myself because I saw his profile, thought like I need to get this guy on a live.
That's my
I-
brand.
yeah,
I
exactly.
respond very fast.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone who was here today. Thank you so much, Bobby. Really appreciate that, and
Thank
we
you.
stay connected.
All right, take care.
Awesome. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much for joining.